Hi, everybody. Welcome to Connect My Brain Truth Bombs. This is where I come in 5 minutes, lay something on you, and ask you to think about it. Okay, by any chance, are you dealing with bedwetting with your little one? So let me give you a little bit of background. Bedwetting is part of a primitive reflex called spinal galant. Spinal galant happened when baby's in the womb. Anytime of stimulation to the back, the baby would urinate. When a baby is born, the baby's coming out of the birth canal. The mom's pelvis, primarily the pubic bone, is riding along the muscles of the back, and the sacrum, or the bigger bone in the back of the pelvis, is actually on the front side of the baby, and it's actually squeezing out the byproduct of pregnancy. So babies will urinate at birth. That's why going through the birth canal is so important. And so we think about what could be some red flags. Some red flags could be a C-section. A red flag could be the baby's turned the opposite way and the pubic bone goes over their face versus the back. It could be something with that first notorious bowel movement, and maybe they aspirated some, maybe they were stained by meconium. So these are things that you can think about from the birth process. Now, always remember, primitive reflexes have a beginning and primitive reflexes have an end. And so if it does not integrate timely, that's when they could be laying in bed, wiggling around, any kind of stimulation, and they're wetting the bed. I can remember when I started off as a chiropractor, they told us there were typically 2 to 3 areas that was almost like a light switch. You could adjust this person and they wouldn't wet the bed again. And, I saw a little bit where some kids had some dry nights, but they also had wet nights. And that was one of the inspirations that made me go deeper and learn about the development of our children. There are so many pieces. And if you don't go through development correctly, or something interrupts that line of development, these reflexes may not integrate, and they may also come back following some type of an event. And the events, the lists are very, very long. So consider that when you're thinking about, why is my child still bedwetting? Now, let me give you an anatomical piece before we wrap up our truth bomb. If your child is bedwetting, reach out to connectmybrain.com. Send me, I'd like some more information, and I'll reach out to you and we can talk about it. But the ability to gain bladder control is a developmental sequence. And there have been many things that have been interrupting these sequences. So one of the things is a child may not feel stable. There could be some other reflexes that are involved by making them walk on their toes. If they were to go backwards, they might be afraid they're going to fall. That's another reflex. That's your eyes. That's your vestibular system. But maybe then they avoid riding a tricycle, or they just can't figure it out, or they've got many other things going on and trying to coordinate that motion is not possible. Depending upon the age of your child, start with a low riding scooter, making sure that their feet are on the ground. If you do that pedaling motion, just like we did when we do that bicycle abdominal move and we move our legs like we pump them for a bicycle, you're going to feel the activation of the lowest abdominal muscle called the transverse abdominis. When we bring tone to that muscle, it's in front of the bladder. So as the bladder gets full, it sends a signal to the brain, I gotta go. Balance bikes do not do this. When children are on a balance bike, they go tap, 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 whee! They're not getting into the dynamics of what is really required to learn how to ride a bike. Okay, if you want some help in that area, reach out to Connect My Brain.